Hello everyone, today is my February seed sowing video and I'm going to run through the seeds that I'll be sowing this month, but in a slightly different way, but we'll get to that in a minute. I want to talk to you first about light. Now, I made a video about sowing too early a little while ago. I'll put a little card up here so you can go and have a look at that if you haven't seen it already. And at the start of January, we had, I think it was about 7¼ hours of daylight in the year. So I wasn't sowing that month, just a few varieties that I knew I could get away with. But where we are now at the end of January, the light is increasing day by day by a couple of minutes a day. And at the end of January, we've now got 8¾ hours of daylight. So it's increased that much. And by the end of this next month, by the end of February, we'll be up to 10¾ hours. So any of the seeds that we sow now that will be emerging and coming on in the next sort of 2 to 3 weeks will get the benefit of that extra light. So it's a prime time for sowing seeds now. Get some stuff started on your propagators, moving them off so that the next month into March, when you're trying to get all your other crops growing, you've got space to do that. Your plants have moved on and you're getting a build up of the plants that you're going to need for that year. So that's just a little brief primer on light, and we'll go and have a look at the seeds, the exciting bit. Now, I've also already sown some chilies, some sweet peppers and some aubergines and onions as well, dead onions the traditional way on Boxing Day, and my leeks. So they're all sown and grown away nicely at home, but it's not too late to sow any of them. And well, to be honest with you, it's fairly much prime time to get them started. So any of those you can go ahead and sow now if you haven't already. Now I'm going to add to those this month with these two. This one is Ishikura. This is my favourite spring onion. I mean, the standard spring onion is White Lisbon, and to be honest with you, I've never got on with it really well. Never managed to grow them successfully. I gave up on them because I couldn't get them to bulb out. No idea what I was doing wrong with them, but I did something wrong with them. But anyway, I use Ishikura, which is a bunching onion. It's a straight onion, very reliable, and I wouldn't be without it now. So that's the spring onion, and these will be multi-sown in module trays and then planted out as bunches, so that when they're ready to harvest, I'll just pick 1 or 2 bunches up from the beds and you're away with them. And I will sow these multiple times right the way through the year, so I will succession sow that one. Another onion is Shallot Zebrunne. Now I know a lot of people, you'll have seen a lot of people have already sown that. I don't get away with sowing them too early. For some reason they don't work out for me. I tend to sow these, and this will be one of these ones at the end of the month. So I won't be sowing that for a good while yet, but I will be sowing them. Move on to the lettuce now, and I've got a couple of sort of little gem types here. One called Amaze, and the other one called Intred, and we shall get those going, and we'll probably end up growing those in the greenhouse. And I've got a lettuce down here, I'm not sure if you can see it, it's called Rouge d'Hiver. I'll be growing that one as well, and lettuce Navarra. I will link all these names and varieties of the seeds in the description below, just so that you can check back on them, or because sometimes my accents or the way I say things doesn't come out properly, but we'll be growing them. Then we've got a few brassicas. I want to get some broccoli going, some cabbage, and I'm choosing Primo for this one, for an early summer cabbage hopefully. I have got spring cabbage planted, and a cauliflower that's called Igloo. Now, in my last video, I did a video about 2 beds outside the small polytunnels just behind me out here. And I'm making them into kitchen garden beds. And I'm using stuff in there that will look pretty when they're all arranged in there. So they won't be in sort of formal rows or anything like that. They'll be spitty spotty, a little bit here, a little bit there. And the idea is to make them look pretty like a border, but with all edibles as much as possible. And I'm also going to combine that with companion planting. Now, companion planting is all about attracting insects like parasitic wasps or lacewings or ladybirds into your garden that will prey on the stuff that's going to eat your plants, and attracting as much of that wildlife in as you can. So I'm just doing it as a trial this year and in homage to kind of in homage to Jeff Hamilton. But that's all in that video, and I'll put a card up there. But I'm going to be sowing some of the first things that I want to be planting in here, and the things that I wouldn't ordinarily be planting now. Like I've got a couple of kales here, a Dwarf green kale and a Red Russian. Now I'm growing those because the Dwarf green one is nice and compact, and it does look decorative, and the Red Russian, well, it's red and that will sing out. And although last year I said I'm not going to do it anymore, where I said with the beetroot was to multi-sow them in modules, because I felt that just sowing them direct in lines like the old traditional way for me worked better. I know it worked well for other people, but I am going to sow these into some modules so I can have groups of beetroot throughout the kitchen garden bed. And the last one here is Chard, and this is a rainbow mix, so we'll have the different coloured stems throughout that bed as well, just to add that added interest. Of course I will be adding more and more seeds and plants to those kitchen garden beds, but that's the start of it, that's the very first of it. So looking forward to that, that's quite exciting. Now also through this next month, probably mid to late February, I'll be sowing some carrots, and I've got two different varieties here, early Nantes 2 and carrot Amsterdam 14. And I've got a couple of old cold water storage tanks that people have in their loft over there in the corner, and I'll be sowing one variety in each just to get an early start on the year and get some crops in. And that way I've got a continuation, hopefully, of carrots. I've still got 2 beds of them here to go at, and we're still eating the carrots outside, so hopefully that will give continuation of carrots throughout the year. So those 2 are good. And then I've got some peas as well, and I'll be sowing some peas for some pea shoots. I'll also be sowing some peas as a microgreen as well in the trays, a bit similar to what I was doing last year. And then I want to compare the 2, then see how well they grow and that sort of thing. And so it's another little tiny sidestep trial, just for my own benefit, that I want to see which is the best way to go. But there will be for shoots or pea shoots to go in the salads, so that is definitely a good thing. Now definitely towards the end of February I'll be sowing tomatoes, and I'll be growing the same as I did last year, which are these, the Crimson Crush and the tomato Ildi. I'll be growing 2 of those, and there are 2 optional extras that I may or may not grow, and that's Black Prince and Jersey Devil. The Jersey Devil's a big paste tomato. I would like to grow a big tomato for a change. I haven't done that for a number of years. Well, what I like to do with my tomatoes, you can see these tomatoes, well, you might not be able to see, but these are Crimson Crush. You get 10 seeds in there. And what I like to do, and what I think works best for tomatoes for me, is I like to grow the tomatoes up and take the side shoots off and just pop them in the soil, and that way you get the secondary plants from the offshoots, from what you've taken off your side shoots. And I believe, and I firmly believe this, that a side shoot plant grows better than the main plant itself. So that's why I like to start mine off early. I mean, it used to be that you never sowed tomato seeds until May, but now everyone is in such a rush and things have moved on, and everyone's got propagators and heated greenhouses and polytunnels or whatever. I haven't, but I've got polytunnels. So I'll grow them on, take the side shoots off, grow those on, and then plant those out. And I believe I get a better crop. The plants grow better, healthier, stronger, they are more vigorous, and you get a better, faster crop of them. And these are an early fruiting type variety called the Crimson Crush. So I can get away with doing that, growing the plants up and then growing the side shoots on, because they fruit early. But what I've not done before is tried it with the Ildi. I'll be growing the Ildi anyway, as normal, and they will go in as normal to fruit, but I will also be planting the side shoots of them and seeing if the same thing works with that variety as they do with the Crimson Crush. I won't try it with the Jersey Devil. I know they lead a longer season, and I'm not sure about the Black Prince, which is why I'm not sure whether they will work for me or not, but we'll see, and we'll take a view. But definitely growing the Crimson Crush and the Ildi, possibly the Jersey Devil as well. But I'll talk much more about that when I'm sowing the seeds, and I'll even run a few bits of old video just to show you what I mean by discussing that. So they're very important to me, tomatoes. Now I have got some herb plants up on the hanging shelf there, which will be going into the kitchen garden beds behind me, along with some of those kales. And I'm also going to be sowing some seeds. These are my herb seeds. That's some of them. I need to sort through them. I haven't yet, and work out a planting plan for me to grow these this year, or to grow some of them. I'm not growing all of those. But definitely one of the definites that I need to grow is parsley, and I grow a flat leaf parsley. I believe that's got more flavour than the typical curly parsley, the one that looks a bit like broccoli. So I grow a flat leaf one, and it's a giant winter, or a giant Italian winter, and those plants are phenomenal. They will grow up to 2.5 foot, could grow to 3 foot tall, and about the same width again, and you'll get such a massive leaf off it, you won't believe it, and you'll end up having to chop it and freeze it in a plastic container. Nothing wrong with that at all, and you've got it for winter long, for making parsley sauces or added to soups, whatever. So yeah, I need to sort through those. That's another job for when I'm sat in front of the telly or something. But in the next video I will show you how light does help you to grow through the winter. It is there, it does help, even on a dull day like this. There's plenty of light around, just not enough really to get most of these plants growing and thriving. But I've started the spread now. This is my first lot, and by the time most of these are coming up, I will time this so that there is enough light for them to grow, and that's key through this time of the year. Also is key is keeping your eye on the weather through this month, and look not just at this week, but look at the next week as well. If you've got a settled period of weather coming your way, then that's a good time to sow your seeds, because you know then that they're going to come out and it's not going to be, you know, -5 or something, and all your seedlings will die off. So do keep your eye on that. Some of these seeds I could sow tomorrow or today, because we've got a settled period coming, but if I go home and check the forecast again and there's an icy blast coming next week, I'll delay it. I'll delay the sowing, and that's what all about being flexible and part of gardening. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you've got something from it. They're the seeds I'm sowing this month. There will be additions. There will be stuff I'll add in, change around, add to, whatever, but I'll go through as much of the sowing as possible, and I hope this new format for the seeds that I'm sowing works for you as well as for me. We'll take a view at the end of the month and see how that goes. I'll try to cover as much of this in video as I possibly can over the coming month, and yeah, that's about it. So do look after yourselves, everyone. Please stay safe, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Ta-ra now.